So when producer Jeremy saw this on screen, the first thing he said, which is, by the way, he's a Steelers guy, he goes, maybe in like 2025 when Watson actually plays. So even without Watson, if you think this roster is talented enough to beat the crap out of the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, hit that thumbs up icon to start today's show. What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, breaking down the latest Browns news and rumors. And yep, you guessed it, it's all over Deshaun Watson, right? We're getting more, just little bits of crumbs and nuggets about what's going on that front. So here's what we got on tap for the good people today. We're going to look at the latest from Deshaun Watson and maybe why the arbitration is going his direction and trending upwards for the Browns quarterback. Plus, could we get a Kareem Hunt contract extension in the near future? Well, he spoke to the media about this, so we'll take a look at that at the tail end of the video. But first things first, we are less than 700 subscribers away from reaching 10,000. So if you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead and subscribe. That way you get the best daily Browns YouTube content out there. Plus, no one else is giving shout-outs like we do, which we'll have at the end of the video for just 10 random viewers. So make sure you stay tuned for that to see if you're going to be on screen. But let's dive into the Deshaun Watson news segment of the show. Watson is entering day 3 of meeting with the arbitrator, Sue L. Robinson. I feel like this has become a household name. Like, this is going to be Browns trivia years from now. There's going to be a lot of people named after Sue L. Robinson, in my opinion, if this goes well for Watson. The early rumors, though, coming out of these meetings are things might be trending in the right direction for Deshaun Watson. I'm not saying that as a surprise, but no one, from what I have gathered, has gone into this with a lot of confidence that Deshaun Watson is going to come out with a clean slate, 0-game suspension, and not even a slap on the wrist for him. There is an interesting side of the story, which is Sue L. Robinson unhappy with the NFL leaking what they've been looking for? We're going to unpack that more in just a second. But the fan, 92.3, had an interesting tweet yesterday. If you haven't seen it, I thought it was worth sharing. So Albert Breer joined the fan. In fact, I listened to him on the show, and here's what was a very interesting snippet from his conversation. One thing I heard definitely over the weekend, Sue L. Robinson wasn't happy how public some things have become. I think there's some concern with the league that this thing could go the other way in favor of Deshaun Watson. All right, so we can get something that's good news for once in a while. Here's my theory on the NFL leaks of what they've been trying to get as they came out. Well, they leaked 2 big leaks. One was that they want an indefinite suspension and they want a minimum of 1 year for Deshaun Watson. All right, that one has not been pushed back on. It seems like that's very clear what they're shooting for. Now, the other leak, which we'll look at later on, but is very interesting, which is that they won't appeal a 6 to 8 game suspension. All right. My theory on this is this. The NFL isn't very confident that they're going to receive the news they're looking to get out of Sue L. Robinson. What do I mean by that? Well, why would they leak that they're looking for a year-long suspension if they didn't think they were going to get a year-long suspension? Because they don't want blowback from PR and optics and cancel culture of, you guys didn't suspend Deshaun Watson for a year, from the vast majority of people that maybe aren't all that in touch with the process and don't actually know how it's shaking out, and that Roger Goodell isn't the judge, the jury, and the executioner here. So I think what they're doing is they're leaking, hey, we're asking for a year-long suspension. Ball's in Sue Robinson's court. If we don't get a year-long suspension, we're sorry, guys. We asked for it, but ultimately, this is how the process works under the new CBA, because the leak didn't make Sue Robinson very happy. All right, that's at least what the reports coming from Albert Breer are. Not that the leak's going to, she's not going to go to this leak or see this report and go, oh, screw the NFL, I'm giving 0 games. All right, she's a professional. She's a former U.S. district county or district judge. So I think that that's not going to sway her dramatically, but it is worth putting out there that, did they put that leak out there just so they save face a little bit in case they don't get what they're looking for? Now, the other interesting leak that came out that Mary Kay is refuting and saying is not true is that the NFL would likely abide by that 6 to 8 game suspension for Watson if that is what Sue Robinson ends up going with. Now, an interesting, the opposite side of that really would be that the NFL doesn't want to go against Sue Robinson in her first case of this nature. What's the point of bringing her on as an arbitrator under the new CBA from 2020, only to ultimately appeal it, have it go to Roger Goodell and go, thanks for being the middleman. We ultimately didn't really need you, though, because it ended up the same place, which is Goodell's lap, and we got the result we were looking for. So with that in mind, what is your confidence level in Watson playing this year? Just a game, right? Scale it 1 to 100, 1 being you think it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to get an indefinite suspension and he won't take a snap in 2022. 100 being you have all the money in the world and you would bet it on Deshaun Watson playing at least 1 snap this season. Now, let's get into a unique idea about a Deshaun Watson brokerage deal with the NFL because our friend, oh boy, Mike Florio, this has been his bread and butter. And that's fine, honestly. It's been my bread and butter, too, in the dog days of the NFL offseason. It's all he can talk and dream about, which is Deshaun Watson and putting him in Guantanamo Bay. But he had a very interesting idea about what to do with Deshaun Watson. Here's what he tweeted out, and then we'll look at his article in just a second. The NFL and Deshaun Watson could strike a deal on an agreed suspension at any time. Remember, the reports were Watson's camp didn't want to take anything less than a year, and the NFL wouldn't give anything less than a year. Here's a suggestion. Treat all of 2021 like an unpaid suspension. He'd pay back $10 million he made, and sit out the first 8 games of 2022 without pay. That would be 25 games. Interesting. Okay, initially I thought no, but the more I thought about it, the more I maybe opened up to the idea. Let's look at and see what Florio said in his article about this. The NFL and the NFL Players Association, acting on Watson's behalf, could agree that 2021 will be treated as a suspension, with Watson losing the $10 million he was paid. Also, he'll miss 8 games to start the 2022 season. What a very casual also right there. He missed all of 2021. That should count for something. Moreover, this approach would give the league a way to create the impression that it imposed significant punishment on Watson. 25 total games without pay. A lot to break down there. But in a way, it's kind of a trade-off. Deshaun Watson, I don't know who this $10 million would go to, right? You're not going to write a check to the Texans. I guess you would write a check to the league office. $10 million for a guaranteed 8-game suspension, and you don't run the risk of getting a full year suspension from Sue Robinson. That's really what this comes down to, right? Now, would that be something Watson would want to do? Or would he want to gamble and go, no, I don't want to forfeit $10 million and get a guaranteed 8-game suspension. I'd rather see what Robinson puts out, right? What if she comes back with either 0 games or less than 8 games? 1, that's better for Watson in terms of when he can start playing. 2, he's not out $10 million. Now, he also signed $230 million guaranteed, so that's kind of just a drop in the bucket. But still, he probably lives a lifestyle where he doesn't want to just casually throw away $10 million. Now, I also thought an interesting point from there, which has kind of gained a lot of steam recently, which I talked about way early on when the Browns first traded from Watson, was what about 2021 being time served, right? Could that be something that factors into the equation? There's a lot of pushback from that idea at the start, but maybe that's something the NFL will look at. I mean, the NFL didn't have to do anything last year because the Texans didn't want to play him, and Watson didn't want to play for the Texans, so they never had to actually put him on the commissioner's list. But I don't see that actually ever unfolding that way. All right, next up on the show, do we have some Kareem Hunt contract extension talks heating up? Well, he had his youth football camp the other day and spoke to the media about maybe getting a contract extension. So we'll look at that and more. But first, I want to tell everyone watching about what's going on over at Rumble. So Rumble is another video platform service, and the way Rumble works is, let's say you want to watch the video, but also go text, hop on Twitter, do whatever you want to do. Keep up with NBA free agency, but still have my lovely voice in the background. That way you can get it all done at Rumble. Help us reach 3,000 subscribers over there. Rumble.com/Browns Report. Let's dive into the Kareem Hunt section. So Hunt told the media earlier this month, if you remember, like 2 weeks ago really, that he wants to finish his career in Cleveland. That's not groundbreaking information, right? That's nothing crazy. So fast forward to yesterday, on Wednesday, when he spoke to the media, and Cameron Justice had a great article about this, about how Hunt is, I don't know, maybe signaling that there's some talks between his side and Andrew Berry about reaching a contract extension. Now, it's important to note that he's entering the last year of his contract, turns 27 in August. Not a lot of GMs are lining up to hand out multi-year deals to 27-year-old running backs. That's just the way the position works this day and age. But here's what Kareem Hunt said about this yesterday on Wednesday. We're trying to get there for sure, so I'll see in the next couple of weeks. So an interesting point at the end of maybe the next couple of weeks signaling whether or not this deal could get done. More on Hunt, all right? I just feel like I just got to stay on top of my body, just working through it before something like that can pop up. I stayed focused on my calves now, rubbing them out, rolling them out. That sounded like something someone else would say. Doing everything I can. I'm good. I'm 100%. I have some time to heal this offseason and get back to it. So my body is feeling good. Nothing's bothering me. So let's let you guys be Andrew Berry here. All right, Kareem Hunt, unfortunately, 3 years in Cleveland. Last year was just injury plagued. Would you extend him? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. I want the dog pound to show out here and let your voice be heard in the comment section. Put on the hat and sit in the seat of Andrew Berry. Would you extend 27? Personally, I think it's a fun idea because Kareem Hunt is awesome when he's healthy. We know what a game changer he is. And the fact that he's the second running back on this team when he would start for a majority of teams is an absolute steal and an act of highway robbery. But 27-year-old running backs, they don't age like a fine wine. That is just the truth of the matter. Like Zeke, for example, who is 26, and how quickly he fell after getting that big contract from the Cowboys. It always sounds good in the moment, right? He's awesome. Why wouldn't we give him another contract? But then you let time happen. And time doesn't favor running backs very well. Hunt has been great in Cleveland. We know this, right? Last year, not the season we would have liked to see, but injuries were a major factor in that. I mean, the Bears game was awesome, right? Remember that? He was jumping over Bears DBs and piling his way into the end zone. And you go back to 2020 when he was over 1,000 yards from line of scrimmage and 11 touchdowns to go with it. In his career, 1,400 rushing yards, just under 800 receiving yards, and a total of, 19 touchdowns. But then you factor in a couple other things. Nick Chubb's 2023 contract, which is $14.8 million, plus Jerome Ford, the fifth-round pick out of Cincinnati. It's not a top pick, but I think Andrew Berry made that selection thinking a couple years ahead. He knew he had Dearness Johnson, Chubb, and Hunt on this roster, plus Felton. But he clearly was thinking 1 or 2 years down the line, and maybe not envisioning Hunt being a part of that project, and seeing someone who he thought was a great value in the fifth round, and even if he wouldn't have much of an impact in his rookie season, he must have liked him enough to have him included in his maybe long-term plans. All right, guys, let's end the show. We'll end the show kind of with this question. 700 rushing yards for Kareem Hunt this year, all right? Over or under, let me know, right? In his time in Cleveland, was it 850-ish was his career high or season high with the Browns? So I'll put it at 700. Let me know where you stand on this. I nearly forgot. We got some shout-outs to give. I just thought it would be fun to wrap up the show, picking 10 random names from the comment section of the video from yesterday and just giving you guys some airtime. So shout out to Jordan James, Jonathan Copley, William McKay, all with very nice things to say. Larry, shout out to you along with Herman, KJ and Grant, Warren, Brenda, Paul. We got our president, Jimmy Carter, who, by the way, I thought he was dead. He's actually alive. He's still kicking it. Guy's 97. So power to you, Jimmy Carter. But that's going to do it for us on today's show. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. That way you stay in the know for all things related to the Deshaun Watson side of stuff and more details on Browns news and rumors.